Hi, everybody. Can you hear us now? Thank you, Musin. I appreciate that. Yeah, we can hear each other, but we couldn't hear you, which is okay. We're just talking smack about everybody.
Oh,
Right.
those Stowe players. Let me just don't get me started.
I told them they all have to be nice and not say rude things today because we're not going there. And it's okay to ask questions, but no bad words. No talking bad stuff. So, I know you can't tell us stuff that's coming up in the game, but what's going on in the game? I've really enjoyed what's come out since April with the Year of Klingon.
Yeah,
But, but, I gotta say, I understand you were involved in New Romulus, yes?
that was mostly me on the environment side.
Okay, New Romulus is my absolute favorite place. As you can tell, this is my home away from home. I've got my lovely
The
Romulan
Romulan
characters
bridge
sitting up
was
there.
done by somebody else. I can't
Well, I know the
remember
Romulan bridge,
who
but
did that at that point.
yeah, whoever's put those out there for something this year was great. We have all the bridges. But I
Hmm.
love playing on New Romulus. It is my
Hmm.
absolute favorite, and I was so heartbroken when we couldn't get the little mini missions anymore that I created a second account just so I can share the mini missions with my main account. Yeah, I know that's the long way around to get those things back, but they were
That's
fun.
that's pretty funny. But yeah, they are fun.
They are, but more than that, I love the actual aesthetics of it. It's one of the better world maps that we've got in the game.
Well, we spent a long time building it.
Clearly.
This was years and years ago now, of course, um, but yeah, we there was a lot of pre-planning that went into doing the layout and figuring out where things were going to go and what we were going to, put where, and trying to make a more expansive adventure zone than we had really done previously. I guess Nimbus already existed at that point, but we hadn't. There's not a lot there.
Yeah,
um,
well, Nimbus isn't bad, but I don't think it's got the diversity of environments that you've got here with New Romulus,
mhm.
especially when you go from Payos Crater down to the Atli, and I adore the Atli. That's my Sunday thing, used to just be hanging out there nice and quiet. Good music, very pleasant. So what have you been working on? And
Well,
obviously,
I'm working on Redacted right now, um, which I can't talk about.
that's okay. Don't
Um,
tell us anything secret. We don't want to
but
get anyone
but
in
in terms
trouble.
of things that you've seen, the most recent is New Kittimer. That was mostly me
Oh,
too, rebuilding all that.
love how that map came out. That
Thank you.
the re-
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun to rebuild. It was a lot of work, but I think it paid off, and it's
oh
been
yeah.
cool. Not just rebuilding an old map, but actually like trying to set kind of Klingon aesthetic standards for whatever the 2410s are. Since we didn't have that really,
Mm-hmm.
we tried to push it more than just. I mean, it's very easy to fall back on all of the um, dirty industrial, TOS movies and TNG Klingons. It kind of in the early days where everything is red and dark and grungy. But this was a conference center, right? This is like, a very fancy diplomatic kind of place, and I'm always interested in knowing more about the other sides of Klingon culture that are
Mm-hmm.
not the submarine, warriors, because there has to be somebody that's making the technology and healing people and doing the diplomatic things too.
Yeah, it can't all be
Um,
warriors fighting all the time.
yeah, and I mean we've seen that a couple times on the show. One of my favorites is I can't even remember his name, but there was an episode of Enterprise where they meet a Klingon scientist, and that was like one of my favorite depictions of Klingons ever.
Yes.
Um, and so I'm always interested in seeing more of that. So this was kind of a chance to bring Klingonness into the diplomatic, fancy kind of world.
Well, we had a discussion, my son and his roommate and I were discussing this the other day, about there has to be another culture behind the one that we see in the series and in the game. And so I mentioned part of what I was working on was going down to Lady Sorella's estate. And you see the
Hmm.
farmers there, and you begin to realize that there's got to be that aspect of the culture too. There's got to be, as you said, the healers. There's got to be the people like me who push papers around for a living.
Hmm.
But it kind of gets lost in the game. Well, nothing personal, but it gets lost in the game. It gets lost
Yeah.
in the series. And
Well, I mean, the
obvious,
game is is very much about fighting things, and so that's what you see.
Yeah, but as we were discussing today, something that everybody seems to enjoy is the exploration aspect of the game, as well as the map exploration, just hiking around and seeing what's out there. And so when we get these big maps, New Romulus being one of them, to a huge extent, Nimbus, DT. What else am I missing there? Pavo actually isn't bad.
Bajor is a place to wander around, at least.
Actually had some fun with Bajor. I was trying to show Ryza, yes. Ryza. Definitely love Ryza, obviously. So I was at Bajor and decided to go back and look at the Simi side of Bajor with the, what I call the Las Vegas side in Jabberwocky. And then I realized it's not Las Vegas. It's more like the downtown Pittsburgh, because there's a couple of neon signs here, and it's a little dirty over there. Yeah. But for as often as I go to Vegas, it doesn't have the flash and splash of Vegas.
And it was intended. I mean, it's the mirror universe, so it's intended to be a little darker than Vegas is.
It too, definitely.
Right? Like it's not. It's not. It's Vegas in terms of the lights, but it's not. Well, it's not a happy, fun place.
Yeah, it is the antithesis.
I tend with the lighting in the rain keep thinking Blade Runner, but that's...
No, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, actually, I kind of like the fact that it does do a little bit of an homage to that. And a lot of the episodes have got little touches of other things coming into it. What is the TFO that's got the missiles coming up a la Starship Troopers?
Peril over Pavo.
Peril over Pavo, thank you. And, of course, we've got the 300 kick in Brushfire and in Uneasy Allies. So nice little touches that we really enjoy.
The game devs definitely, I mean, we're all products of kind of the same, roughly the same eras, and we've all, products of the same kind of nerd fandoms and things. And so it's very easy to fall into, putting in little nods to the things that you love.
Oh, absolutely.
And we try. I mean, it's good to do that, to a degree, because the players will find it too, and then they'll find that kind of little smirking, nod thing. It's just bad when it gets over the top, or when it gets, too much, or we're doing too many of them, or something.
The wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah. I agree, but it's kind of lovely to find the little pieces here and there. And even today, when people were pointing out little things I'd never noticed, and I'll have to go back and play that one again. DT, I don't mean to dominate the conversation here.
No, that's all right. Like I mean, I'm here. I'm here to help, and the fact is, I've been dealing with PC issues.
Oh, well, glad you're here.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah, to make this really fun, doing this on 12 weeks' notice from when they officially canceled or postponed the convention. And we had this idea going into it because we suspected that was what was going to happen. But there's a little bit of a difference between we're postponing it to we're going to do our own convention. Let's put it all together 6 weeks. Let's put on a show in the barn, guys, that kind of concept. And got permission or asked permission through your PR person, and all of a sudden Kel's saying, well, can we help you out with this? You've got our permission, but, what can we do? And now I'm like, I don't know. I just work here, guys. I'm an idiot. I play the game and I talk over it all the time, and that's it. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Sarah and Stowe and Twitch both just crashed on you. Sorry to hear that. Of course, if it crashed, you can't hear that. So, on a personal level, and you can't tell us what you're working on, of the things you have done, what have you enjoyed the most?
Oh, God.
That was a question I was about to ask.
Oh, okay.
Well, you can ask it now. Go ahead.
Well, technically, we just did. Damn her, it worked with her long enough she reads my mind.
It's really hard to pick, favorites or anything. I think the things that I enjoy the most are the larger projects, the things that take a lot of moving parts together to make happen, to see to fruition. I don't mind making missions and things, that's fine, but spending a week on a map, or or spending 3-6 months on a map is a very different thing. And so the large projects, New Romulus, Earth Space Dock, DS9, even Kittimer to a degree was really a big undertaking to redo that. And so those are the things that I really get into, is when I can spend the time to really push things further than we normally get to push them in a standard mission, or when we get to set the standards for the architecture, or even when we get to, like, I really love recreating things from the show. I mean, doing the TNG interior, doing DS9.
DS9 was awesome.
It's a very different process to make something from scratch than it is to take it from the show, but they're both a lot of work, and they're just very different. Like, one, I have to pay all of my attention over here, and the other I have to pay all my attention over there, but it's still just as much attention spent on all of it. So, yeah.
Is there any aspect of the game that you personally enjoy? Do you play it? First of all, I should ask that.
I will admit I don't really play.
Oh.
I have characters, I have played in the past, and my dev character, I think, is still only level 50 because we don't play on our dev characters, right? We get them into the game at one point, and you just give yourself a bunch of items, and then that's it. But you're not actually playing on your dev account. If you're playing at all, you're playing on a private account, which you wouldn't know running around. You wouldn't be able to tell who's who. And so, no, I don't really play. And there's a couple of things for that. One, for me, I am an explorational gamer by nature. I like to explore a world and find those little nooks and crannies and Easter eggs and things like that. That's primarily where I derive my enjoyment. I played World of Warcraft this was a vanilla WoW, and I played to 59.5 and quit. I didn't even make it to 60 because I had already seen everything, and I was like, well, there's nothing else to do. The advancement is not why I play. So playing an explorational, or being an explorational gamer, I can't explore the spaces that I've made. Like, I already know where everything is. There's no enjoyment there in that respect, right? There's still plenty of enjoyment, playing and shooting things and advancing a character and all that, but it's just not the same. And then on top of that, just knowing how the sausage is made, it's really difficult to play your own game when you can't look at anything without seeing the flaws and feeling compelled to fix them. And, like, it's just a really difficult thing to play a game that you are actively working on. Even playing games that are made in the studio. I mean, I'm the Magic alpha is going well. It just ended for a little bit. They're doing these kind of spurts of Magic alpha testing, and I've been playing through that, and that's a ton of fun. It's great playing a game that I don't work on, but even then, I still know who made those things, and I still, feel like when I spot something, I have to go tell somebody, and, like, so it's just a very difficult thing for me to do. I know some people really get into it, and I think a lot of the people that do really play the game a lot are the people that we've hired out of the community. Bordicus, Jet, Thomas to a degree, people that were playing the game already and were already into it before they became devs.
If I can ask, how did you get into doing this?
I went to, so long ago, when I was very little, when I was about 3 or 5, something like that, I started making plastic models, and somebody, I was a big Star Wars fan at the time. This was in 85 or 86, something like that. And I was making plastic models, and somebody told me about ILM and that you could, make models for a living. And I thought, well, that sounds really cool. I want to do that when I grow up. So my goal from the time of being 5 years old until graduating high school and going into college was to become a model maker for ILM. And I wanted to do special effects for movies, essentially. And in 1993, a movie called Jurassic Park came out, and the dinosaurs were largely CG. I mean, not all of them. There were certainly some, static models still, but it was very obvious that, like, computers were kind of where things were going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I shifted my focus at that point. I still wanted to work on movies and do special effects for movies and do model making and things, but I started focusing on computers for that. And so by the time I went to college, this was 98, I found a college here just up the road here in Sunnyvale called Cogswell, which was a small art and tech school that had a computer graphics degree program, bachelor degree. So I went to Cogswell intending to do special effects for movies, and I did that through senior year, or through junior year, and then in the beginning of my senior year, a friend of mine told me that he was starting a game club. They were going to make video games, and asked if I wanted to make models for them. And I was always looking for ways to work on things outside of classwork. I was always just working on side projects, and I was just looking for anything to model. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll make models for games, whatever. It's, similar process. And that just became it then. So I just got sucked into games through that. And that was, like I said, that was my senior year. And after graduating, I couldn't find a job in the industry in games. And so I worked at Borders Books and Music in Sunnyvale. And even though I had graduated school, I kept working at Game Club on their games for a couple of years. And so that was 2002 that I graduated. And then in 2005, at the beginning of 2005, my friend and former classmate, Jeff Jenkins, was working at Cryptic on City of Heroes. And he was leaving. And he told a couple of us from Game Club about this job that was going to open up doing environment art for City of Heroes. And I applied, and I heard nothing back. And then another friend of mine named Mike Apollos, who was also in Game Club at the time, also applied, ended up getting the job. And he was working on Neverwinter until just earlier this year, late last year, something like that, and then left. So he'd been here longer than me. And Mike applied, got the job in early 2005. And a couple months later, he said, "Hey, we have another opening. You should reapply." And I kept being like, no. They clearly didn't want me. I applied, and they sent nothing back. And eventually he wore me down, and I gave him my stuff to pass along. And apparently the art director at the time said, "Hey, we saw this stuff a couple months ago. We tried to hire him. What happened?" And apparently the person responsible at the time had lost my number. It's a good thing that I reapplied.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike, for forcing me to reapply. And I got the job the second time.
Yes, thank you, Mike. We appreciate that.
This was end of April, early May of 2005. And I've been here since.
Wow.
So I started on City of Heroes and then have worked on other things throughout. But
perseverance and a bit of somebody else kicking in the butt.
Well, there's a large part of the game industry, and probably all industries, that is who you know.
Yes.
And there's a large part of everything in life that is just luck. And
also true.
And I benefited from both those things with this.
So then you're telling me that you're not a Star Trek nerd.
No, I'm sorry. I skipped over the whole Star Trek part.
Okay.
Because I wanted to work for ILM because that was who had been doing Star Wars, and that's what I knew at the time. So that was when I was about 5. And at 5, 6 years old, 85, 86, I would watch the original series with my dad. My dad was a Star Trek fan.
Good for him.
And he would, we had, I don't think we even had cable at that point. It was just whatever came over the airwaves to our little, a screen that's smaller than this one, color TV, though. It was color.
Ooh, I had black and white.
And, well, we had black and white at my mom's house, but my dad had a color TV. It was probably a 13-inch screen, and we would sit on his bed and we'd watch TOS, and I thought it was the most horrible thing in the world. I was like, this is just boring. They're all overacting. They're all just like, this is dumb. Why is he rolling on the ground? Like, it just made no sense to me, and I didn't jive. But then like literally the next year or two is when TNG started, and my dad was very excited for a new Star Trek. And so we started watching together, and he quickly lost interest, but that was my jam then. So,
Wow.
So I watched all of TNG from the start, and then all of DS9, and then all of Voyager, and then all of Enterprise. So TNG is where it got started. Well, TOS is where it got started, but TNG is what hooked me.
Interesting.
So I have been a Star Trek fan since being very little, but TOS at the time was not it. I have since rewatched all of TOS, and I enjoyed it thoroughly with the adult sense of humor, of corniness and camp and just everything that is TOS. I appreciate it now. It just didn't click with a 5-year-old for some reason.
Well, I started watching it the first time around. I won't say how old I was, but wasn't that young. And liked it, but I was a little kid. Then I saw it again in my teen years in syndication and did the cringe thing, and just recently went back to seeing TOS again and appreciating it a little bit differently with the benefit of a few years. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I actually got TNG'd more than anything else.
Yeah. I rewatched TOS when we got the license, when we found out that we had the Star Trek license from Perpetual. Mm-hmm. That's when I was like, okay, I should probably go rewatch things. And I wasn't on the project or anything. It was just it rekindled all of those feelings of my love of Star Trek, which had waned after Enterprise, because there was no more Star Trek after that. So
I understand that. One of the things I really enjoyed recently not recently, but in Star Trek Online was when they brought in the agents of yesteryear, and so many of the visuals are from the original series, especially, I don't know where it is in California, but the Sideways Mountains that were iconic in more than a few episodes.
Vasquez Rocks, yep, that's
yes.
Just north side of LA.
That was just such a moment of pulling all of my history and all my memories back into the game.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to work on, was making things TOS-y again. That was me and Adam Flores and Scott, who's still my lead on Star Trek. Adam has left since then, and David Lopez, who's now the lead environment on Neverwinter. And I actually Edrin, which is what we dubbed the planet that was never named, where Vasquez Rocks for the Gorn planet. That was me and Adam Flores. So I made the formation initially, and I made a material for the rocks that was not very good, and then Adam made a new material for the rocks and did a bunch more work all around it. Oh. So collaborative effort there.
Yeah,
but it was a lot of fun to make. For sure.
It's really fun to go back there and play it, except when we're doing minor instabilities. But that's a different story. That's a different story. If you want to see something terrible, watch us play that.
On Elite.
On Elite, yes. It was a surprise. The joy of random TFOs. Musin has a question, and you may not be the person to answer it. It is T6 California class when, before or after T6 Oberth, excuse me. I don't know if you're a person who can answer that.
Even if I knew the answers, I probably couldn't answer that. No, I mean, we don't tell people about ships and things that are coming unless they're actually announced, which you would know about already.
I wouldn't know. No, I get blindsided. People in the game are like, didn't you read the blog?
No. But presumably the person who's asking about the T6 Oberth and California class would probably be paying attention to those things. So, no, I don't know the answer.
He says it's a meme question. Okay, fine. Thank you, Musin.
Basically, any T6 question is going to be kind of memey. I think people all know that we can't answer those kind of questions anyway, but they still ask them because
of course they do.
They want their T6 ships. That's understandable.
I am the least ship tech savvy person out there. My fleet got together and bought me a jellyfish, which I have taken out of the box, but haven't started playing with yet.
Oh, actually, I got one for you. I know there's time limits on a lot of stuff, but what was probably the most involved in game time-wise project that you've done so far?
I would have to look at the schedule to tell for sure. DS9 was definitely months and months and months of work. And that was, again, largely, not to say that nobody else worked on it, but that was almost entirely me. Wow. There were a couple people who contributed assets and things, but the vast majority of the work was on me for that. And honestly, it started as a personal vendetta against the old DS9 map. It had bugged me so badly that I was just modeling it myself.
Wow.
At home, and at some point, I think Al Gecko mentioned that, oh, we might want to do something with DS9, and I was like, hey, I've got this thing that I basically already made for you guys. And it wasn't like it was all done, but I had almost a complete white box of the Promenade.
Wow.
So I had everything laid out. At least it wasn't like it was finished modeling. It didn't have materials or anything, but at least the spaces were there, which made it, easy to kind of run from that point. And at one point, we essentially we had problems with production at the time where producers weren't necessarily keeping tabs on me as well as they should have been, and I wasn't checking in with people as much as I should have been, and so that became a couple months of me just working and not thinking about it, and nobody really realizing that I was just working without anybody like checking on me. And so at some point they were like, this is taking a long time to make all of this stuff. We have to cut things to get this in. And so they were going to cut ops, and we were just going to use the original ops from the old map paired with the Promenade. And that I didn't have a breakdown, but I was like, I can't deal with that. So I basically built ops on my own time. I would spend time afterwards and on weekends coming in to make ops happen, because I couldn't bear to have you go from the brand new Promenade into the old ops, which is drastically wrong.
It's a TARDIS. It's a TARDIS on DS9.
Well, it's not even I don't mind the TARDIS. I mean, we have to make things bigger. I mean, as much as people complain about the scale of things, and certainly they're not wrong about very early interiors were way oversized for reasons that I don't even know. But even the things that you think look correct in game are already 50% bigger than they would be in real life, just because your camera is not inside of your face. Your camera is behind you,
yes,
and generally above you, and in order for that to feel appropriate, it has to be bigger. If we make it the real size, it feels very claustrophobic.
It already feels claustrophobic to me after being so used to that giant DS9 for years.
Sure. The DS9 was we had a battle and kind of went back and forth a couple times on the size of it, and I agree that from a gameplay standpoint, it probably is too tight. But I was so hyper focused on just making it look right that's where my mind was. So I fought for that. So if you think that it's too tight, that's my fault, and I will totally cop to that.
Actually, I think it's amazing. It's probably one of my favorite places to be around right now.
Well, thank you. I think that there is a spectrum of opinions on things.
Oh, I'm just claustrophobic. It's got nothing to do with the game or how you set it up. I'm here in this huge room here all by myself, and it's like cozy. I'm just realizing how much I talk with my hands. All right.
Okay.
So, since you don't play Star Trek Online in your spare time like some of us do, obviously some of us do, outside of the world...
It's weird of you to have a Star Trek convention talking to Star Trek Online devs without ever having bought a booth to rep our game without actually playing our game. That would be weird.
Yeah. Hey, like I told somebody, I can't remember who I said it to, the reason we do the booth is because 3 years ago we went there and I was blown away by the game. And even though I'd been playing since end of beta, and I'm like, I need to let them know who we are. So yeah, we do the booth because I wanted to suck up to you guys. Honesty.
Yeah. I don't know how I got dragged into this whole thing.
You volunteered. You volunteered 2 years ago.
You're right, I did.
Yeah, see, all on you. But yeah, so now it's a major thing for us to do Vegas, and as I said, this year we'll probably be there in December if they don't change it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still hedging bets on that one.
Yeah. I would be surprised if it happens, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm living in Indiana now, and they just took us back one phase, so we're back to wearing face masks in offices. And if you want to
Hmm.
have fun, try wearing a face mask while you're doing bookkeeping because you're fogging up your glasses. You can't talk to anybody around you. So, are you guys working strictly from home, or do you have any in-office time?
No, we're all working from home still. Santa Clara County hasn't opened up businesses. They opened restaurants for outdoor dining
Mm-hmm.
and bars, I think, for outdoor seating or something. I can't remember exactly what is open, but the vast majority of businesses are still closed in Santa Clara County.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a small contingent that is in the office and has been from the start, and it's basically just IT to keep everything running.
Okay.
And so we all work from home. And the plan is that even when Santa Clara does lift it and people are technically allowed in the office, no one's going to be forced to go in. It's basically if you want to, if you would rather be in the office than at home, you can be, with some training and some approvals and all that. But nobody's going to be forced to be there. And I'm guessing that even the people that want to, it's probably going to start off with a couple days a week, in and then a couple days out. I think we've, not that we like it, but I think everybody's kind of gotten used to working from home now that we've been doing it for several months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say we've been at it 5 months, and while I go into my office every day, most of the people there only go in once or twice a week. So,
Yeah.
so now I get to that point of how has this changed the culture if we're all getting used to working from home and having
Yeah.
a different world?
Yeah.
Which is obviously a bigger philosophical question, but I hope that this has been something in terms of getting more people involved in the game, because now our social life revolves a lot around our computers and our telephones.
Hmm.
Have you seen any upswing in numbers of people playing? It sure looks like the maps are busier than heck.
I probably can't talk numbers, but yeah, I think, it's safe to say that video games are doing well right now,
I would hope so.
and we are amongst that.
Yay.
Just we're trying to be responsible with that, right? Great power comes with great responsibility and all that. I just mean, like, trying not to be exploitive of the situation, but also, trying to serve the people that are stuck at home and are looking for escape and, happen to like Star Trek.
It does seem that a lot more new and different things have come out since the lockdown has begun. Certainly, the Year of Klingon coming out has been awesome and fantastic, and thank you so much for that. But I've also seen different things coming out for approaches for Mud's Market and how they merchandise things and sales and things like that. And was this always not that I want you to tell us anything you can't tell us, but was this always planned, or is this, to some extent, a reaction to the lockdown?
The Year of the Klingon has certainly been planned and been worked on since at least the very end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that has all been coming down the pike anyway. I don't know about particular sales or Mud's Market, or like, that's all handled on the design side of things. I don't really have anything to do with that. So we do have, we can react in the way that we put things on sale or in the things that we offer for sale. Obviously, we can't just invent a new ship or something, out of nothingness, right? That all takes time to make. So
Yes.
if it's a new product, then that has been in the works for some amount of time, at least a couple weeks, usually probably months.
I didn't mean to go into anything specific. I just meant that it seems that there has been a bit of a kick of creativity coming out, just maybe from the lockdown, or maybe this was always planned.
It's possible. I just don't know the answer to that. That's just so far outside. That's outside my area of work, even when we're all in the office together, and it's even harder to keep track of other departments when we don't even share the same building anymore, right? So I don't know.
Well, as I said, it wasn't intended as a criticism. It's been awesome to see all this new stuff, ideas, new experiments coming out. And certainly has, unfortunately, made me spend a lot more money than I intended to this year. But
Sorry about that.
No, that was cool. Legendary ships were definitely worth the money, even though most of them are still in the box. I am the worst at unboxing
Speak
ships.
for yourself.
Well, DT, of course, has his out. Yeah, I'm good on delayed gratification. Does anyone out there in Chatland have any questions? Okay. I'm sorry, DT, what were you asking?
I said, yeah, you're some sort of mutant that you can't go for. I can wait. 6 months later, I can still wait.
When I show everybody the ship, I want it to look right.
Oh, okay.
No, I got the jellyfish from DT and the others in the fleet, and I bought myself a La Serena, which is still in the box and hasn't been touched yet. One of these days. I actually get off on the ground missions much more than the Space Pew Pew, and I'm definitely not a Space Barbies girl. So
Do you have a favorite ship?
Pardon?
Do you have a favorite ship?
Maybe. I like the Morgu. I like the Alliance Battlecruiser. I really love my Astika, or however you say it. Okay. And the old Danos from the Romulans. I love that thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, so pretty.
Paul?
Well, I tend to be. Well, I'm kind of TNG. I tend to like the Galaxy, the Sovereign.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Do you have a favorite ship?
On the Romulan side, I'm a Valdor person. I like the big wings. On the Fed side, I actually like the Nova probably the most of any ship, just design wise. I mean, I'm an aesthetics person, so I'm not talking about like BOF seating and powers and consoles and all that stuff, right? I'm just talking about the design of the ships. So the Nova has always been kind of had a place in my heart. I don't really know why. It seems small and kind of scrappy, and then I don't know. I like the cutout on the nose. I don't like the Rhode Island as much as I like the Nova itself, or the Equinox, I guess.
Yeah, the old Defiant prototype, if I recall its origins.
Yeah, Frost says Vanguard Carrier. Yes, Vanguard Carrier is very nice too.
Yeah.
Hey, I did want to say something. A couple arcs that have come out that have been just stunningly well done. We were playing a game earlier called Epic or Epic Fail, where we went through the story arcs to discuss aspects that we enjoyed and didn't enjoy. Mm-hmm. And obviously the whole Gamma Quadrant was freaking brilliant. Everybody I know loves that one. And
glad you like it.
Yes, obviously Quark's Lucky 7 is just a joy. But the whole arc was really exceptionally well done. And just an absolute thrill. It's like post-Delta Rising, you guys have been stepping up the game and coming up with more creative, more original, more aesthetically pleasing, more interactive aspects to the game that have just been better and better. So when this last episode came out, and I can't spoil it because not everybody's played it yet.
Yeah.
But it was a total WTF moment at the end of it going, oh, come on, next episode, please.
I wish we, I'll do my best not to spoil things, but I wish we could, there's, as much as I enjoy our format and what we can do with it, the fact that we are a persistent MMO and not just a story-based game means that there are things that we cannot do, such as what should be happening to you after that mission, right? We can't do that because you have to be able to go back and check the exchange and
yes,
do check your mail and do but I wish we could push things that much further to the point where now you really are in that situation, right?
That would actually be absolutely fascinating, but no.
Yeah, but okay, I got one here because I'm guessing people have watched Picard. Spoiler point: we're gonna get some free cloud somewhere around there.
God, free cloud, yes.
There's no plans at the moment. Certainly, I think Al has said before that if you see it on screen, we want to put it in game.
Yes.
So there's no question that if you've seen it, we want it there. It's just a matter of when and how we're going to make it, right? So Picard came out, but the Year of the Klingon was already, had already been planned for months, and so there was no way to kind of back out of that and change it. And we get some things from CBS in advance, and some things we don't. And so there's a lot of times where you
learn it when we learn it,
right? We learn it when you learn it. We see the map when you guys see it on screen. And so, well, that would be cool to make. Okay, but it would have been nice to be able to come out with it right now, right? But we can't do that because we have to make it now. So there's always a kind of a delay in those things. And so we, as far as I know, nobody's really done anything Picard specific yet, at least story mission wise. Obviously the Serena is in, and a couple of Boffs and things are probably in, but in terms of the story, I don't think that we've even gotten there yet.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that if it happens. Digressing slightly, though, I know people have mentioned they would love to see more Enterprise-related information.
I would also love to see more Enterprise stuff. Yeah. That's a whole set that we have never even touched. I mean, I have worked on. Let's see, I've worked on every canon, like prime canon interior now.
Wow.
Because I've done TOS, I've done TNG, I've done Voyager, I've done DS9, I've done Discovery, but we haven't done anything Enterprise related yet.
It seems to be an aspect that's been overlooked or missed, and I didn't know if there was a reason or it just didn't fit yet.
I don't. There's certainly no like malice or intentional avoidance of it. I think it's just people try to give us ideas for things. We have a million ideas already.
Oh, I'm sure.
We are so full of stuff and things that we want to do, but there's only X number of us and X number of hours in a day. So it just we just haven't gotten there yet. I don't know how. I guess we've pulled some storylines in from Enterprise. We have the Sphere Builders, we have the Suliban, we did Procyon 5, but in terms of the interior, that has just never been a thing. And I would love to make it, but we'd have to come up with some kind of storyline that involves it. I've mentioned a few times to people when they ask for bridges, like I can't just make a bridge for a player to fly around in their ship. It has to be involved in the story in order for us to budget the time and manpower to build it. So we would have to come up with some kind of story. And honestly, if we're going to do an Enterprise story, that means that we would need to get some major actor to be, to kind of headline that, right? So if we found out that, T'Pol or Archer wanted to come and do voices for us, then we would absolutely find a way to make that happen, right? But
I can see that, yes.
But we also have a million other things on our plate that we're trying to juggle too. So I hope that we will get there at some point. I just don't know when that would be.
It would be totally awesome, but I certainly understand.
Even the Alachi came from Enterprise too.
Did they? God, I have to go back and watch that. It's been a while.
They weren't named. They were just this really creepy, shroomy aliens that were abducting people off of Enterprise and a few other ships.
Actually,
go ahead.
We kind of got into a discussion about when the Alachi first kind of reappeared, but appeared in the game. And it's quite early on, if I remember our discussion this morning. DT, were you around for that part?
No.
It wasn't
real-time stuff.
I mean, they're in Warehouse 18 or Installation 18, and I'm trying to think if we see them prior to that.
New Romulus.
I remember when we added them, but I don't remember. I remember vaguely just the I'm going to say like the work around adding them to the game, but I don't remember when in the timeline that happens or anything.
It's
I
like
think the first point was like Romulus when New Romulus came out. To be honest,
they were not there on New Romulus initially. We've retrofitted new things into old content.
I meant the Romulan Arc story edition, Romulan faction.
Oh! I'm sorry. Yes, you are correct. They were abducting people there. You are correct.
Yeah, and you mean the Virnat portion?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Dang, that was a beautiful arc. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite ones.
That tutorial mission was great. When they first start swooping in, that blew my mind.
Yeah, I was demo recording it, and after detaching the camera and kind of swooping around the aspects from the demo record, you can go in and see different things happening, and it's amazing the level of detail that's going on beyond just what you're seeing on the game. So getting up there, taking the camera off, and flying around was it's wonderful. And there's a couple other of the related stories from that arc that unbelievable, and you don't pay attention to it because you're looking straight ahead, you're looking at the enemy, you're not looking up and sideways, and there's so much there. It's just lovely.
Super side note,
Yes.
if you don't know, the Alachi are named for a woman named Yasmin Alachi, who works at CBS and was one of our contacts there. So
That's awesome. That's so cool. You know, one day there will be a Mom alien. I don't think Mom makes a good alien name, though.
Well, you can flip around and still be Mom.
Yeah, I'll always be Mom. It's a boring nickname. What can I say? Excuse me.
it's an important job, though.
Yeah, but to a fleet? Fleet Mom. My other account is obviously, instead of Brondo Mom, it's Brondo Moogie because it's my Ferengi side.
I talked you into that. I'm proud.
Yes, you did talk me into that. Absolutely. I have been pushed to do things I would not normally do because of people in Star Trek Online.
That's good.
Maybe. Maybe it's good. It is. It just is. So we have to enjoy that once in a while.
Thanks.
Yes, it's New Momulus, Von Marcus. Of course it's New Momulus. That's the name of the place. People think it's Molrian. It's New Momulus.
What the other name that I think people don't know about is the what do we call them? The Nanovs? Is that the
the little
tentacle monster thing? That was called the River Pig back in the initial discussions. We didn't have a name for it, and like so many times when you guys talk about a mission or something, you know the mission name because that's what you see. The mission name generally doesn't get added until the very end, and so I only know like the map name or whatever we called it. Oh, it's the one about blah, or it's this one it's the one that takes place on Pavo. I don't, right? I know Pavo, I know Prior's World, I know Earth Space Dock, but I don't know what the mission name is that surrounds it. And so that Nanov didn't get named until the very end, and it was called the River Pig for the entire production of New Romulus.
I think Nanov is a little bit more attractive than River Pig.
Have you found the concept art on the bridge?
No.
On New Romulus?
No.
There's an ancient Day One engraving on the bridge that runs over the Nanov pit.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to go up there. I thought I had explored that place to no end. Okay, I will go find that next.
It's almost invisible. I mean, it's even if you see it, you're not going to be able to tell what it is. But I'll send you a picture of what it is because I have a picture. It's literally a picture of the whiteboard drawing that somebody made of this thing when we were first talking about it.
Oh my
I
gosh!
just turned it into a texture and threw it in there. So
yeah, I would love to see another something to the extent that New Romulus was. It was engrossing. It actually brought me back into the game because I'm not a space person as much as other things, and here we have this hugely ground-centric, story-centric arc that was just engrossing and definitely brought me back in.
I don't know that we're going to be able to do that. It involves a lot of people.
Oh heck yeah, it does. I'm sure.
I think I mistakenly said that I was mostly responsible for it. I led the project, but there were at least 3 other environment artists that all worked on that.
Mm-hmm.
All of the trees were made by Adam Flores. I think a bunch of the flowers and stuff were too. Somebody else made the entire ring of the city, and I think Peter Richmond made the Riemann section. So like there was a whole. That was when we were a larger team. So there was probably 4 or 5 environment artists working on that, plus more designers and things too. So we are a smaller team at this point, and I don't think that we would be able to pull that off with the current team size.
Well, kudos for having done it, because as I said, it was fabulous. One of the best parts of the game, still is for me.
It was fun.
Well, I'm going to let you go here because we're going to do a break here. I'm going to get something to drink, and we're going to plunge into, I have no idea what we're doing in the next hour. We're doing something.
All right. Well,
It'll
thanks
be
for
fun.
having me.
Thank you very much, Nick. We
Great to have
appreciate
you.
you joining us. Everybody,
Absolutely.
a little thank you to Nick. I realize they're in chat and you can't see them, but
I can't
thank you
see
so
them, but
much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for whatever you're saying there. I'll assume it's good things.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Later.
Bye.